Let me turn on my camera here.
Yes, sir. Hey,
What's
what's
up?
going on, boy?
What's up, man? It's been
Shoot,
a
bro.
while.
Damn, it's been what, 11 years, bro?
Yep, 11 years.
11 years. All right, listeners, thank you for tuning into this episode of the 81 podcast. My guest today is my college teammate from West Valley College, Lane College alumni, semi-pro champion, national champion. We have Hashim Zaire Houston. Hashim, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Thank you for having me on.
100%, man. Like, we were just talking right before we started the show, man. We was 11 years since we've seen each other. 2009.
Yeah, 2009.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, 2009. I was about to say
2009.
2010, but nah, it's been longer.
It's been longer.
Shit.
Time flies. Hey, how you been, brother? 11 years, bro. What you been up to, these, man? I mean, I know you went to Lane, you know what I mean? But then what, like, semi-pro, but what else has been going on?
Oh, yeah, I'm engaged now. So,
Oh, congratulations, bro.
doing the whole, I mean, not doing the whole family thing. I've been with her for 10 years. So,
Yeah, I remember.
yeah, so I've been doing it. It's just now it's official. So, really good things going on in life. Parents are doing good. Siblings are doing well. Me for myself, got into technical recruiting 5 years ago, and that's been a pretty good profession for me. So, I mean, no complaints. No complaints. Still playing football. Still trying to play football if COVID ever clears up. So.
Man, dude, you already know how I'm coming, bro. You see me.
Right.
Shit.
Exactly.
Speaking of football, you remember this shit?
Absolutely. I saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, he pulled out from the memory chest right there.
Hell yeah. It's TBT, brother. You got to, and I got you on. It's crazy at the timing, so.
Right.
Oh man. So anyhow, okay, let's talk a little bit as kind of the whole semi-pro dynamic. Actually, no, I want to go back. Let's go to West Valley.
Okay.
Your last year, our last year together as teammates, I was. I'm gonna bust out that photo real quick. Let me find it.
All right.
I got.
Do it for the listeners. And
I
then
have to.
people who actually watch this, you need to see how skinny this man was. It was hilarious.
Exactly.
And I got my own type of story coming up, but we good.
Exactly. Listeners, this is what happens when you bring someone who's known you for like almost 50% of your life on the show. You get prepared to be roasted. Where is this?
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, preheat that oven.
Exactly. All right, here it. Oh, let me pause this real quick. It's a video, but I got to pause it. So wait, hold up. Can I make it full screen? Yeah, here we go. Hashim.
Oh, there you go.
There's you. There's me.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't the buffest person back then either. So I
So
want to say I was about like 185 in that picture. I was a scat back in the day.
you actually were 187 because I remember when you went on the scale right before we went for photo day the day before. You were 187, and you said your stand was out. You lost weight. I was 135. I'm like 187 means you lost weight, bro. I wish I could be in your shoes.
So it's the genes, man. It's the genes.
The jeans, brother. It's funny. Actually, on my first episode, I was talking to my boy Aram because remember you asked about the route running. He was the one running. I was telling you I'll play QB, and then I was asking like, are you naturally athletic, this and that, because I know some guys who I went to college with me who were asking about you, who are guys who are like natural genetic freaks. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess for you, let me ask you this: as an athlete, would you say that your athleticism was derived just genetically, or would you say it was a hard work, or was it a combination of the two?
Combination of the two.
Yeah.
So my mom was a state champ in track in high school. My dad, he was a linebacker and fullback back in the day, but he had tremendous balance, and that I'd like to say that's where I got my balance from, and that's what came natural for me. But as far as like the the quickness goes, I would say that's pretty natural. but I had to definitely work on the long speed, the strength, and and whatnot. And I wasn't really known as a jumper back then either. That was something I definitely had to work on myself. So it's definitely a combination of the two.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
I would say one thing that did come naturally to you was that you used to have these. I remember the legs. Your lower body was just naturally just built, especially
yeah,
your thighs. You know what I
yeah,
mean? In that photo, you know what I mean, you can see the difference. You got my little twigs and little chicken legs, and we got you with these little tree trunks. And
yeah,
I think another thing that you also have besides that kind of helped establish your low center of gravity, your ability to take punishment. Because I remember anytime we used to run blocking drills, anytime we have one-on-ones, you would just either you would just run right through anything that'll come your way. You know what I mean? So I
mm,
guess talk to me as to kind of what you think was your greatest asset and is your greatest asset if that's changed, kind of as part of your game, in football.
okay. So my greatest asset back then was more, I was more of a speed guy.
Yeah.
I did a lot of squats, power cleans. Did more wind sprints back in the day. Because I definitely didn't like bench pressing, so I wanted to be good at one thing.
Yeah.
So it was more about my burst and my ability to make people miss. But I think my greatest asset, even okay, one of my other greatest assets back then and my greatest asset now is my balance.
Balance.
Easy, been doing, that, I mean, yoga is a big part of that. Incorporating that in your workouts and and stability, core and stability. So getting into that into that realm of your game, it changes a lot, because you're able to bounce off of tackles a lot easier, stay balanced on your feet. People think you're about to fall over, but you're not. You keep that momentum going and all that good stuff. So
All that good stuff, man. Your balance has always been a key attribute. I remember it back then too. Obviously, when blocking drills happen, you have to run through the pads. Even if when you made a lateral move or you kind of had to go off your pivot foot, it was really easy for you to kind of regain yourself and just keep going. So I do agree
yeah,
with that. So let's talk about it because obviously, our season we went 0-10. I had Lofa on, I had a few other NFL dudes on,
yeah.
and I showed them the ring. Actually, let me grab that for you because I told Tone about this. He's like, bro, we went 0-10, but I'm like, hey, it ain't even about that. What does that say?
Let's say I'm trying to read it. Yep, there we go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
saying 2009,
10.
2010 season. Yep.
Yep. That's all. And then it just has my name and my position and my number. So,
There you
and that,
go.
and that number
Special
stayed with me.
teams, baby.
Special teams, baby. You already know what we do, baby. So,
Yeah.
you were one of the few players to actually get a full ride scholarship I think most guys kind of went to Menlo or D3s. You went to a D2.
I did not get a full ride scholarship.
Okay, you did not.
I was a walk on.
No freaking way,
So
bro.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll correct you there.
Yes.
So
I
yeah,
appreciate it
no
though.
full, right. So no full ride. It was I have family out in Memphis. So when we were, funny story, more like I didn't want to leave California or anything. But my mom's like, it's either you go out there or you find a job. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to work at that time, still wanted to play ball. So she forced me to go. Turned out to be the best decision I ever made. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely it was definitely a blessing in disguise. But when I walked on, those, I mean, you just had to prove that Cali, wasn't, was no punk. So
100%.
yeah,
100%, bro. You know what I mean? I think obviously in the South, and, I was talking Lofa Tutupu about this. I mean, he played obviously at the D1, the 80, 90,000, stadiums. You obviously playing like 20,000 seat, 10, 15, 20,000, how many seat stadiums. The South, you know what
right.
I mean?
Kind of.
Five,
Well,
five.
let's just put it this way. D2 HBCU. Depends where we went. But I would say about like we're around 10, 10 to 15,000. So
Pretty,
yeah,
yeah, pretty sizable. You know what I mean? Kind of like when I
yeah,
played arena, 10 to 15 or semi-pro over there in the Midwest. Because over there in the Midwest, it's still big. Like arena don't
mm,
exist. I was telling Lofa this and a few other guys. I'm not keep referencing Lofa, but I was telling everybody this in the last couple of guests. indoor football doesn't exist anymore here in the West Coast, but in the
Right.
Midwest and the East Coast, it still has presence. So,
Right.
obviously over there, you'll still get people packing the stands for like any of those games. But kind of back to that. So obviously with your, I guess with Lane College when you were over there, I mean, you got an opportunity. Did you get an opportunity to start off the bat, or was it like you had to wait until after after your first year and then maybe I wasn't sure how that worked. Kind of if you can talk me through kind of your experience with that with playing.
Yeah. It was a humbling experience. I'll tell you that. So,
Because you were starting every
uh,
year at West Valley, bro.
I mean, it was just, let's just say that going over to Lane put a lot of things in perspective,
Yeah, yeah,
um, and that's, because I know I didn't really play much throughout my entire time there,
hmm
so it's not like I ever started, I sparingly played, whether it was, for like a decoy role or running scout team or even doing special teams. Just learning as to what being a real teammate is,
yeah,
type of thing. Um, I mean, not saying I wasn't back then, but it was just more of like, okay, being willing to do the dirty work, even though you probably don't want to do it.
exactly.
And when it came to Lane, it was just we had our offensive coordinator at the time, had the infatuation with backs that were 175, 180, and if you're over that, you're probably going to be a fullback or a short yardage guy.
Okay.
So we had to work our games to match that, mold. And the quarterback was mainly the let's just say the two-way guard. No, the combo guard where the offense ran through them. If
Yeah.
they could pass, great. That's just an extra plus. But if they can run, that's what the running game was going to be predicated off of.
Right.
So that's just to give a little shed a little light on that. Um, but during that time, it was just more about um, being able to do the small things, and showing up to workouts on time, encouraging other teammates, and setting your ego out the door. So that's one thing I definitely learned is no matter what, just set it at the door and be a great teammate. So
100%. Obviously for me, whether it was at West Valley, as you can remember, or wherever I was, I would always take my role because not having the natural athletic ability out the gate, it's always about kind of just being willing to do the dirty work. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And thankfully, I was able to use that to kind of develop my playing skills over however many years it took until now where I am now. So, and you obviously can attest to where I was back then. If you want
right,
to give
right,
listeners
right.
any stories about, I appreciate if you don't, but if you want to, go ahead. Because I mean,
Oh
fuck it, it's
yeah,
my
no,
podcast.
it's okay. It's okay. I won't go into it. But I just remember. Okay, never mind, I'm going into it. But I'll never forget. Doing the whole little drills, and then this skinny ass kid just comes up. It's just like, all right, I should do this way or that. Holding the bag, in awkward positions. It's like, no, you're gonna hurt yourself. So we had a so it was kind of like we had to go back in time and be like, no, this is what you need to do. So you don't, like, I don't want to carry you off this field,
Yeah,
that type of thing. So, but I mean, I guess I just spoke to how everyone was on that team as teammates, looking out for everybody, and that, yeah, the record wasn't great, but, the, this culture there was still pretty, like, it was still pretty close knit. You know,
100%.
it, just things didn't go our road. Just things didn't go our way. So
And I think so much of it's funny. I heard Chris Collinsworth talk about his sophomore year at Florida, and they went 0-10-1.
yeah,
And people don't really recognize that because Chris Collinsworth had such a great NFL career, and now he's a broadcaster, and he's
yeah,
had a great career as a
exactly. You would
broadcaster.
never know.
You never know. And so I mean that's the thing. It's like, everyone and when I talk to these former NFL players, I talk to guys, who've obviously played at the highest level. Record doesn't define talent, meaning that talent, like, and it's funny that because we're talking about this, and like I was talking again, and I don't mean this item to repeatedly, but when I was talking to Loaf about this, because I just spoke to him, not too long ago,
Right.
He was talking about when you are a D2 or D3 guy, you can still get to the league. You can there's still so much
Absolutely.
uncut gems, and you can obviously test that firsthand playing D2 at
Yeah.
HBCU, right? And I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah. No, I was about to say because Jacoby Jones,
I was about to say, oh my
he
God,
was,
go for it.
he was
Preach,
he's
preach.
an alumni.
Yes, sir.
So I'll never forget. He came into our gymnasium. He looked at everybody and was like, "No," he's like, "There's a bunch of fucking dogs in this house," And I say that with full sincerity. Like when I'm watching y'all practice, when I'm watching you guys go out there during games, like you guys want this shit. And don't let anybody on the outside ever tell you that you're not going to make it to the league just because you're at a D2 or a D3. Like if you could ball, they'll fucking find you.
Bingo.
And that was it. No,
That was
like
it.
I didn't have to tell anybody anything else. They were just like, all right, you could ball, you could ball. Um, and even with shit. Oh, Ricardo Lockett. We played against him when he was at, not it was like a Kentucky State. He was a quarterback, a wildcat quarterback running his 4-3 out there. You know, he wasn't really a receiver like that. He was a raw prospect, but at the same time, like when you played against that dude and you're looking on the other line, on the other side where I was, you're like, oh, this is an NFL player.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of gems like that. So glad you mentioned it.
Exactly, you know what I mean? And because I mean, at the JUCO level, at the D2 level, at the D3, I mean, it's so crazy. It's rare, but they're there. You know what I mean? And kind of to your
Yeah.
point about Ricardo Lockett, I think, and I guess what you were talking about, kind of what your scheme was of your school at Lane, what Lane was running, and kind of what you saw in Ricardo Lockett. It seemed that there was I guess maybe I'm just gonna ask this question, like kind of. Do you HBCUs and at least in your conference, right? I'm not sure if Kentucky State was HBCU. I think it was, right? Was it
Mhm.
was yeah? Was it for the QB and kind of the offense? Were they looking for more dual threat QBs to kind of fit the scheme, or was it more so just that that's just kind of the tempo was just that kind of dictated that?
Honestly, it just depended who it was.
Okay,
So my redshirt year there, we had a guy that I guess you could say is Tim Tebow now. He could, all he did was run, run, run. Would probably pass. No, sorry, it'd be more like Air Force. Probably
Air
like
Force. Yeah,
pass like 10, 15 times.
yeah,
Then I had a roommate from LA. He was a quarterback, and we passed more with him.
yeah.
And we were able to win a few games. It looked pretty good. And once he went down, we had another quarterback go in, and he was 50-50. He was more of a dual threat, but stronger runner than he was a passer. So at that time, our offensive coordinator was more adaptable. So it just really depended on what type of personnel we had in. Now, that's not to say that's how everything went, within the conference in the SEAC. So the SEAC was a spread-based conference, and then maybe us and Kentucky were the only other teams that had like our best athlete or someone who could run. You're a quarterback.
Yeah.
So Albany State, they came out, with a pro style. Clark Atlanta, they had it was a run heavy, but it was a pro style. And then you'd have let's see, who am I forgetting? So I already said Clark. So Morehouse and Tuskegee, they have more of the spread. So I mean, but it didn't just run through that quarterback. It was read option.
Exactly.
Mainly giving it to the running back, especially if it was deep. A lot of them were.
Hmm.
So it just varied on philosophy there.
Pretty much, and I think the RPO was kind of prevalent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think it's interesting because when you have the variety of, obviously football is a very dynamic game, right? Different schemes for different personnel, different systems. Obviously, like it's just interesting how they have so many contrasts and dynamics, within one conference. But obviously in college football, like anything can go because I mean, you see the craziest plays in college football that
Absolutely.
you won't see in the NFL. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people don't appreciate that or understand that. So
Right.
yeah, and I mean, yeah, sorry.
No. I was agreeing with you. I was
Yeah,
agreeing with you.
100%, 100%. So and so you finish up at Lane, and you obviously come back to the Bay, and then I mean, so were you immediately you didn't start off recruiting then, right? You basically were trying to figure
No,
out kind of things off the bat.
right. Exactly. I was
Yeah,
trying to figure out things off the bat, but I knew I wanted to still play football at that
yeah,
time. You know, and that was when I, went to semi-pro. Started off at the San Jose Eagles.
yeah.
It was some trying times for the first couple of years, but excuse me, I almost burped. Anyway, um,
It don't
yeah,
matter, brother. You on the
yeah,
81 podcast. Anything goes.
but but like that experience was kind of like the same as the West Valley.
Yeah,
Just like we didn't. It wasn't like we weren't 0-10 or anything. It was just like would be talent. You were troubled but talented.
right.
That's how I describe it. First year we were 3-7. There was a few of us that were from that. That was from that West Valley team. So playing with other good athletes around San Jose and the Bay Area. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So like the record just got worse every year. So it'd be 3-7, 2-8, 1-9, and then that's that's when I ultimately made the jump to go to the Patriots in 2016, South Bay Patriots for everyone.
South Bay Patriots. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
PCFL, Pacific
Right.
Coast Football League.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when honestly things started to change because when you're, let's just put it this way, when you're a solid player on a on a struggling team, it looks like, oh, everyone sucks, but then they don't, especially when you look at the numbers and the stats and stuff. It's like, oh, this team is not bad. They have some category, leading category people and like major, in major lines. It's just they're not winning.
Right.
What the hell's going on?
Right.
And and I know like the main thing during those times was there was always the bad San Jose team, and then there was the Outlaws or the the Patriots, that when they first came up, and it's like, okay, they're representing South Bay.
Right.
So it's kind of like it's like, okay, varsity team, not varsity team. um and some of that stuff, and what everyone started to do, before most of us made the jump was, we're good, individually, you're thinking like, I want to prove myself,
Bingo.
to the quote unquote good team. So doing that and, collaborating with, other great running backs and, and seeing other, great players on both sides of the balls in all three phases, that was pretty cool to be a part of. So, first year we go 8-2, make it to the chip and we lose.
Yeah.
But I mean, the journey there was, was pretty sick. And then the second year we actually win it all. And then going to the national championships, that was cool too. And then, as everyone knows, it was the dynasty that never was cut off. So,
Cut off. Right.
yeah.
Talk to me about the experience of going to nationals, right? Because I don't think people understand kind of how semi-pro works. Because you talk about winning your league, but since semi-pro, there's so many leagues spread across different regions across the country. There's obviously you have the national tournaments, but there's not one single national champion, right? Because
Right.
you have one national championship for one region, another national championship for maybe another, and so talk to me through that a little bit. Kind of what was your experience and kind of when and I think did you travel to Vegas for that tournament? Is that
Yeah.
correct? Yeah. So
Yeah.
talk me through that a little bit.
Yeah. So, so after we won, the PCFL championship,
Yeah.
I believe we had to go to Denver. I couldn't make that one. So they traveled to Denver first and played against another team that, won it all for them. And I guess on how the rankings went was, number one, are you well sponsored? I mean, that money is the thing,
Yeah.
are you well sponsored? And then on top of being sponsored, are you good? And if you are good, how bad are you beating beating your opponents, or or can you put up a show? That type of thing. Because they're looking at the rosters, they're looking at the stats, they're actually making these analysis, as the season goes on. So as the season tears on, in the PCFL itself, we had the North Bay Rattlers, and then we had the Capital City Fury, and the South Bay Outlaws, and those teams are was always a force.
Right.
So you have this team that lost the championship to the Fury, the year prior, beat everybody, next year. So it was more of like, okay, spotlight's on you guys. So it's kind of like college. You just take it week to week. And it's you don't really go in there to be like, oh, we're gonna blow out each team. It's just more like, let's handle business and keep it going. So by the time we go to Denver. Yeah, sorry, you get off tangent. But so we go to
this
Denver.
show. So Hashim, let me tell you how this show goes. I go on so many fucking tangents. Listen, I gave that disclaimer in the first episode. I'm like, I go on tangents. If you want to listen to the show, get used to it. So please, brother, just spit.
But yeah, so they go to Denver, and I believe it was a narrow victory, but it's a victory.
Right.
And then after that, we get invited to the regionals, and I don't know, like the other part two. I don't know what it really was, but it was. I just knew that was the national championship game.
Right.
And from there, we brought the whole roster there. Everyone had fun, good time. Game was freezing cold.
Yep.
I didn't know, like, being Vegas being in the desert, I didn't think it'd be that cold, but it was cold.
Rude awakening.
Yeah, rude awakening. And I believe we won that game 21-18 or 21-13. And I mean, honestly, just even talking to our own, talking to the owners and talking to the coaches about it, it's just mainly about how well are you funded, and difficulty of your schedule. So, and I know, like, even going into like our third season with the Patriots, then we started getting tougher competition, in preseason. So one team that beat supposedly everybody in Denver, it wasn't the same team we faced, but they were like the runner up, and we blew them out.
Right.
So it was just it's just mainly just building up your name.
That's all it is. That's all it is. Yep.
Building
up the name. And it's funny you mentioned funding, because when I had Darius Prince DP on, and he went from his story is that he went from semi-pro to the NAL to the AFL, and he won the Arena Bowl and the Arena Bowl MVP. Then he got into the Eagles practice squad. He talked about kind of the constraints, and obviously I learned this firsthand when I started coaching and owning my own team out there in Illinois, right? It obviously, money, like you said, it drives a lot of your success. You get some of the players, get paid under the table, even though they're not supposed to, right? But most of the time, you don't get to pay for your own equipment and pay for everything, and that obviously hinders a lot of talent, So it's obviously teams try to incentivize it by either offering perks to certain players, stuff like that. So kind of obviously the bigger the brand, the easier it is to recruit. Players want players. You obviously contest this. Good players want to play with good players.
Yeah.
But obviously with the money, right, you may not be able to have that luxury. And if your brand isn't big enough, then you have to figure out a way to make yourself competitive. So kind of what's your experience with that? Because obviously you played on the South Bay Patriots before the team dissolved, right? And the South Bay Outlaws are like the premier team. I'm not sure if they're still around. They're still around, right?
They're still around.
Yeah, still around. Yeah. So kind of how was it competition-wise recruiting, for like within the South Bay region for yourself against the Outlaws, against other kind of top tier teams?
Well, I think after our first run, people, it was easier. We'll just say that, because I know when we, I came the second year that the Patriots were there, and I think they were knocked out of the first or second round, the playoffs. So they lost to the Rattlers. And then my first year, so we had, talent on talent on talent, because I believe the Islanders just folded, that season. So we had a lot of, people from Pacifica and San Francisco, and then San Jose. So we're meshing, and everyone's getting along. Um, and we got to the point to where we faced the team that knocked us out, in the game before the final,
Yeah.
and I think that's where that's what made the recruiting easy, because we were down 33-10 by the half. And yeah, right.
Yeah,
So
damn.
you're thinking, so you're thinking that, okay, there's absolutely no way.
Yeah.
So, we used the running game. I scored two touchdowns. Then we get into striking distance. Also, that was probably about 150-yard game by your boy. So,
Hey,
but
flex on him. Just be like, you know what
yeah,
I mean?
got it,
You
got it. Oh
got it. You
yeah.
still got it, baby. All right.
But yeah, I had to do a little humble flex there, but it wasn't a humble flex. It was a flex.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it was just one of those things where whoever was there at that game, that you talked to us still to this day, they're like, nah, like that was amazing, because the team showed the grit. They showed that we weren't. It's like, yeah, we were worried, but we weren't like, okay, we're not gonna fucking quit, because
Bingo.
we made it this far, and everyone collectively understood we're not going fucking home. There's
Right.
no way we drove out to St. What was it, Roseville? No, wait, Santa Rosa. There you go, Santa Rosa. We did not drive all the way out there to drive back fucking losers.
100%.
No fucking way. So that was the mentality. It was just, we can, never say die. And and then when we had new people on during the championship year, that's what they said. They were like, "Oh, that game is why I wanted to play," because no one yelled at anyone. No one was like, "Yeah, fuck this, I'm out." It was just more like, "Hey, let's get our fucking heads together and let's make this shit happen." Did we win the championship the first year? No, but I mean, it is what it is. You just show enough heart, then people are bound to go. So going into the championship year, that's when, like I said, like people who watch that were like, oh yeah, I want to go for this team. And then you have Sacramento that actually started splitting up into different teams, so that kind of hurt them a bit, where it was like they could have, Fury probably could have been, just as good or even better. But when you have like you know two or three other Sacramento teams, people who probably aren't getting as much burn in on the Fury are going to other places.
Right.
And then of course you have the Outlaws that were where were they, like Daly City or something like that. And they always find people, they always do.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, they're always like they're the funnest ones to play. So
Yeah. Obviously, a few of our teammates played for the Outlaws from college. John Mosley, and one of our starting corners now, I think, was the third best receiver in the league, right, for the Outlaws. And then
yeah,
Justin Caldwell, right?
yeah, yep,
So
exactly.
so what was it like playing them? Because I know that for me, I mean, it would be a little extra added motivation, right? If you're going against your boys, who you knew, back in the day, who used to wear this fucking jersey.
Right. No, it's like it's like what everyone says in like sports period, when you play against somebody, it's like a fraternity. But at this, before the game, you go ahead and give your little dap, but during the game, I mean, it sucks they didn't play defense, but
You know what I'm
it was
saying?
more right. But it was more like I'm not gonna fuck with you during this game.
Bingo.
Um, because I believe so Justin he joined during our championship. He joined the Outlaws during my championship year.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get to play against each other until I switched to another team when the Patriots dissolved, and Outlaws smashed us. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's a different story. But like Mosley, I know when I was on the San Jose Eagles, he was like, all right, hey, you guys suck, but I see you running hard, blah blah. Yeah, it's true though. We're getting blown out by these guys.
He gives
You
you
know, but
straight,
I,
brother. You know what
but
I mean?
but I'm seeing mostly make some acrobatic catches and mossing people and all that stuff. So I'm like, I'm thinking like, oh shit, he should have played on the offensive ball, side of the ball. But I understood as to why he didn't.
Right. Exactly.
That yeah, viewers don't need to know that. um, but no, it's just cool. It's just always like, it's always like all right, let's see where you at now type of thing,
Bingo.
And then if you're balling, then it's like, oh yeah, he's done that for years, and then, the main thing is you always going to have like an insider, information on that player. Like, hey, look, he doesn't like this. He doesn't like that. Let's try to do this to him. And if it works, hey, you look like a genius.
Exactly. And if it doesn't, you live with the outcome, and
Right.
next play. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
exactly. So obviously, you and I, we're both 30. I mean, and
Mm.
I think we talked about this, right? I mean, I talked about this on Monday's episode with my other boy, Aram, who you see me conditioning with, like,
Mm.
and because he's about to be 32. Like
Wow.
when you're 30, like, I know something. When I turn 30, I'm just in a lot of pain now, man. Like I don't know why. Like my joints and just like some of my muscles they ache, and I obviously my knees hurt the most. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But it doesn't stop me. You know what I mean? I still get out there. I still condition. I still train. Because I love it. It's just in me. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go till the wheels fall off. What's your motivation kind of at this point? And now that we're both in our 30s, like what's your motivation to continue playing? You know what I mean? Because everyone has their own reason. My reason, kind of, you mentioned this. You allude to this, like you want to prove to yourself, to this big team, that you're that good, right? My
Yeah.
motivation to me is not to prove to anyone but myself, and then they balloon to actually having people overseas be like, look at this dude, man. He like the brand expanded to what more than I ever thought when we started at this place, right? So
Yeah.
you tell me kind of what your motivation is, and kind of what you foresee in the future for your playing career.
It's just more of like, motivation is just, like kind of like what you said, like, just being better than what you were,
Right.
and I know what I can do,
I
and
I know
I,
you can do. Yeah, the
right.
film don't lie, brother.
And
And sorry, let me just interrupt. For the viewers who don't know, when I went to Chicago and I walked in whatever the Falcons, right? And I made the
yeah.
team. I spoke, everything like that. The second day of practice, I showed them your film on your IG or Facebook, whatever it was, where you
Mhm.
ran through, where like we ran through the guy, or like you ran straight, and the dude tried to hit you. You spun and then you ran the other way, and then the whole team and the sideline went, "Oh my god!" Because I remember you posted that. I mean, if you
Yeah.
remember that, you posted 2 years ago.
Uh,
Yeah,
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
yeah, and
remember that.
so
Yeah.
and so I showed my teammates. I was like, "Woo, my God, that boy got some handles." You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
obviously, I mean, like, yeah, your film doesn't lie. Hashim is a bad brother, but go ahead, Hashim.
But yeah, no, it's just, it's just passion, I guess. It's just, you know, I just love the game.
I
So
bet.
that's all the motivation I really need. It's just more of like, if I could still do it, if I could still, have my bursts, if I can, as long as I'm, continuing to work on it and bear the fruit, it's all good. I mean, there's no real there's no real reason at this point. And then I guess for the future of my playing days, it's still a little cloudy, since COVID, but
Yeah.
um I've been trying to lean towards more to flag football at this time. I don't know,
Me.
just something just to get me out there,
Yeah.
but uh, but if but if the PCFL comes back to the Bay Area, most likely more than 89%, I'll be out there. Because I'm, we talked the other day, it's just like, just being ready, just
100%.
training, just training
Training.
and being ready, so I'm about 223 now. So, just trying to get
Oh,
down to, I'm trying to get down to like 210.
210. Yeah. No, I'm 185 now. So I mean
Oh, okay,
now.
there you go.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just like this all the time. You can see that. Ain't no skinny boy here no more. He's
Right.
like,
I'm
yeah,
saying, look at you, man. I'm saying,
yeah. Appreciate you,
oh,
brother.
can't wait
Sorry.
to run those routes.
Yes, sir, bro. No, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it hopefully this weekend. So, but I mean, I guess the last thing I want to kind of get to is that, obviously the future is uncertain with COVID. Obviously a lot of these parks are closed, what I mean, but like, we still find ways to get out there. To me, it does, and you lose this obviously with COVID, what I mean, for me, and we talked about this the other day, like, if, for argument's sake, if a competitive semi-pro league never comes back to the Bay, I'm okay with just doing flag or just getting out there, because to me it's just me getting out there and throwing the ball, or me getting out
Yeah,
there running the routes. You know what I mean? That would be it for me.
exactly,
Yeah, kind of what
exactly.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
And like we talked about turning 30, I mean, it's literally, I mean, shit, you're sore all the time.
yeah.
You really don't know how much longer you really want to get the shit knocked out of you.
Bing. Yeah.
Uh, and sorry for cussing on the thing if there's
Oh,
kids
fuck it,
listening.
bro. Keep going.
But it's just that's the facts. It's yes, football's a passion. Yes, football's a love of ours. But at the end of the day, how much longer can your body really take it?
Right.
You know, and at 30, that means you're gonna have to take care of your body more than you've ever did.
Right.
Because it's gonna be more prone to break down. So that's why I would say I'm more along the lines of of going away from pads, but I'm not opposed to it. Like if
Pretty
semi-pro
much.
came back tomorrow, I've been out of it for a year, so I have fresh legs.
Exactly.
So
Two for
so
me.
I'll be back. Yeah.
Two for me. You know what I mean? So I mean, I'm ready. If
Right.
everyone does come back. So I guess in closing, then, I mean, kind of what do you hope to leave? I mean, if it's a legacy within the game, I mean, or do you kind of, outside of playing, do you like foresee yourself maybe somewhere like coaching? Because obviously for me, I coached 2 years ago, and like it's a part last year was semi-pro, and I
Mm.
coached varsity high school football last year. For my first experience coaching, and I can see myself, because Coach Wink is now coaching at SJCC.
Yeah, I
So I
heard.
mean, yeah. So I mean, there's so many different ways. I see so many different avenues. You know what I mean? Where I could see myself continuing being involved with the game, even if I'm not playing it. I mean, the full contact. The
Right.
semi-pro level. Do
Yeah.
you do you do you foresee yourself being involved like in any different way? Like, let's say, like, if we were to decide, okay, fuck it, bro, the pads are done. We're just gonna get out there and play flag. Do you see yourself getting involved maybe somewhere down the line, maybe as a coach, or maybe as kind of like assistant somewhere, or is strict?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. No doubt about it. That is the beauty of this game is it forces you, well, not forces you, it teaches you to grow up.
100%.
And just, there's so many young athletes out there that probably need that type of guidance.
Yeah, they
Um,
do.
and in some cases a deflator, someone would be like, all right, all right, calm that shit down, because when you
Exactly.
get to this level, someone's gonna knock the shit out of you. And sometimes kids need to hear that, and well, not kids, but like, you get it, players,
Yeah.
so it's just just getting to I don't know, I never see myself out of football forever, no. So
And
just,
go ahead.
oh no, just to answer your question, so no, I will be involved with the game for as long as I live.
It's crazy, brother. Like, we our team was didn't win a game, but we're the most passionate. Our team has the most passionate guys, like you, or you and me at least.
Yeah,
Out 50, however many people are on the roster, who just will never stop. The love will never stop, and be involved in the passion for the game will never die. I mean, for me too,
right,
obviously. So, and I think that's kind of the interesting thing, is like I've gained a following because of the fact that my passion blew up to becoming a brand. You know what I mean? As opposed to just being a passion. So I'm
right,
thankful for that. You know what I mean? Like, to a point where if semi-pro player gets motherfuckers across the sea saying we want your autograph, I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'll sign your autograph. You know what I mean?
right,
So yeah, I think kind of where I'm going with that is that it's crazy to see, because when we were playing back then, social media wasn't as big as it is now.
absolutely not.
Absolutely not. We had Facebook, but that was it. There was no IG. The Twitter wasn't really there. There was what the fuck was Snapchat, right? Now you
Right,
look at it and it looks like almost anyone, and it's funny. That's what I noticed. Like my semi-pro season with the Falcons, as opposed to any of the indoor seasons I played. Out in the Valley, the West Valley. I mean, us playing there, SJCC. Prior to that, none of that. none of that got traction. But then when I got out there and I started, kind of doing my own thing and started promoting myself out there, then the social media presence exploded. Did you ever notice that when you were playing with the Patriots at all during your time, or
No,
was it just,
absolutely.
yeah,
Felt like, low key, it kind of felt like, oh shit, we're low key pro players right now.
yeah,
Because I'll never forget, you have those like roofing companies that sponsored us, sleeves. Then we had like the free gym trips, certain places like we could walk in without any membership and just, just being pampered. It was like it was kind of like you lived the dream without without the millions of dollars.
exactly, without the million
But
dollars. Fuck it.
but you get my point.
Yeah.
It was like, oh shit, okay, these are nice perks. Um, so that's yeah. So just to answer your question.
Man, no, you nailed it. No, that's exactly it. You know what I mean? So even I think the point was, I've had the fortune of now being able to, and you obviously too. I mean, being kind of surrounded with NFL players, being surrounded with players who play at the highest level, gaining experiences from them, and sharing my experiences, kind of being like a balancing ball. It's just the passion of the game is kind of what keeps us going. You know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
that's the ultimate thing to close with. So anyhow, brother, anything else you want to add for the viewers? Anything that they should know about Hashim?
No, I'm good, man. It's just if anything, just hey, eat right and start incorporating yoga in everything. I'm telling you,
Yes.
especially if
Yeah.
you're in your late 20s, and then for younger athletes, get on it early. So then, that stuff comes in handy because I still got my balance.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that's basically it.
100%. 100%. Actually, no. There's one more thing that now you said that. What's your advice to athletes coming out? Kind of like us who didn't get enough buzz straight out of their JUCO or their high school careers. What advice you have to give them as someone who walked in at a 4 year?
um, you should believe in yourself.
Blame yourself.
Yeah, well, okay, fine. That's a little cookie cutter, but it's just more of like have start. Yeah, I mean, other than believe in yourself, have a realistic goal and surpass that goal.
100%.
So not just I want to make the team. Fuck that. What do you want to do? All right, you made the team. Now what?
Now
You
what?
know, so being sure you have realistic goals for yourself and then shoot high once you reach that goal. Once you're close to reaching that goal, then you go higher. So it's just stay focused and eliminate any and all distractions.
100%. Yeah, because
Yes,
you basically keep raising the bar, never get complacent, and eliminate all distractions. And then
absolutely.
and so how does it feel being a sorry ass Cowboys fans? Like Cowboys fan.
Well, aren't you a Niner fan? You guys lost 96. But anyway, yeah, our quarterback broke his fucking ankle, so that's our excuse. Oh well, and our defense sucks, but whatever.
No, the reason we are bringing this up, bro, because obviously in my last couple episodes, I've just been going in on Jimmy because I just don't see. We have a great defense. We have a great we have weapons. We have Brandon Ayuk, like we talked about this at the draft. Brandon Ayuk,
Yeah,
Debo Samuel, George Kittle, right?
yeah.
And
Who's hurt?
Kendrick, yeah, and he's hurt, I mean, and Kendrick Bourne, you know what I mean? So I guess even though Jimmy's not playing, I just don't see how we can justify paying him 6 years, 137 million after the season, after he's been missing way
No,
too.
he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
I,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
well, only honestly, it's not even because of his skill. It's just availability, his best ability, and he
bingo.
hasn't been available to the team. And I think that could hurt. Well, that hurts a quarterback of all the positions. That's going to hurt the quarterback the most.
Yeah,
And then as far as like Dallas goes, you know, it's our biggest issue is the fact that we fall in love with our big dudes way too much. Not the low linemen. I'm talking about our stars.
stars. Yeah,
So you know,
like
uh,
Zeke.
I unfortunately, yeah, it's I don't mind paying a running back as much as they need to get paid. I don't mind that. Alvin Kamara is getting paid more than Zeke. Oh, just around the same, or 75 million or something, and he's balling. Dalvin Cook got paid, balling. Derrick Henry balling. You know, and you know, and then in Dallas we're just top heavy. You know, so we
Right.
pay our starters way too much, and then we don't have enough to build after that. So if they go down, we're fucked,
Yeah.
as you can see this year. So yeah,
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think with the injuries for both of our teams, I think also I don't do so many question marks like QB with you for you guys, unless there is with us.
yeah,
Well, yeah, durability did with Dak, I say was relatively durable. I mean, outside of this year
yeah.
as being outlier, he's pretty good.
It was
So
outlier. Yeah.
outlier, but without he hasn't been paid yet, or has he been paid? He hasn't paid
No
they haven't signed up.
franchise
Yeah,
tag.
no franchise tag. So I mean, there could be a potential, to move him. I mean, if they can't come to agreement next year. So I
We'll
mean, who
see.
knows? We'll see.
Yeah, I
What I
know.
mean?
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Oh, okay. Last thing. Yes, I keep saying last thing, and there's more things. Last thing. Who's your Super Bowl pick, and who's your MVP?
Say that one more time. Super Bowl pick and MVP.
Yes, sir. You heard it right.
All right. Super Bowl pick. I am going. Honestly, I'm going Kansas City.
Yes, sir. Say it, boys. Kansas City. That's my pick
Like I
too.
mean, honestly, it's
Who's beating them in the playoffs? Tell me.
yeah. No one I can see. No one
Yeah.
I can see right now.
Yeah.
Like ask me when it's playoffs, right?
Yeah.
I honestly, it's not even about their offense at this point. It's just, well, it is about their offense. I don't see anyone stopping them. It's
Just like last year.
You have Clyde Edwards. They're more dangerous. Clyde Edwards Hilaire, who could, run 120, 150 yards on you. Then you have Le'Veon Bell if you wanted to. I mean, he hasn't done much, but at the same time, there's the potential. And then you have the passing game. Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes, greatest quarterback we've ever witnessed, literally.
100%. Just
Right.
talent-wise, easily.
Yeah, exactly. And MVP, that's a different one. I mean, valuable player, I'm giving it to Russell Wilson still.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think if you don't have Russell Wilson, well, what's the record? 7-4.
Yeah.
8-3. Okay,
Yeah.
7-4. So they'd probably be like a 2-win team.
Yeah.
I
Team.
think, and then Aaron Rodgers is a close second.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is clearly in that mix, and then Derrick Henry. So
yeah. What's interesting about that is that when you look at MVP, nowadays it's not even about the most valuable player. It's just about who has the best statistical season, best stats. With the NBA, obviously, like Giannis has won it back to back, but in my opinion, the MVP is the man on this team right here. Because if you take him off of any team,
Contagious Caldwell Pope, right?
Yeah.
I was just playing.
LeBron. LeBron James, brother. You know what I mean? Because a few of the guests we've had, obviously they're huge LeBron fans, or but like they don't like the Lakers, or they are like Lakers and don't like LeBron, or sometimes it's like just whatever. They're just fans of LeBron, they don't give a fuck, right? Me, I'm a Lakers fan. LeBron happens to be there. It's a match made in heaven for me. You know what I mean? But obviously, considering everything that goes into kind of a team, LeBron's the only player who I can say definitively, if you were to take him out of this team, or if you were to say there was one guy who's most valuable, if you took him off any team he was on, that team would fall apart. It's him, because look at every team after he's left that team, with the exception of Miami back in 2015.
Right.
Every single team or Miami missed the playoffs actually after he left, but they made it back to the second round afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, they've always been good. Even now this offseason they retooled. They're looking scary. I'm not gonna lie, but Miami looks really scary for next year. But I still think Lakers, because AD resigned for the Supermax, for was it 190, and LeBron resigned for 85 for 2 years. We just need like another like death big, and we'll be all right. You know what I mean? So
right.
So I think when you consider these things, LeBron James is like, in my opinion, should have at least more than like 4 MVPs. I mean, 4 is almost a crime.
It's the Peyton Manning effect.
Yes.
Because Peyton Manning, Brett Favre back in the day, when they won like 4 to 5 MVPs, they could literally win it every year. Tom Brady wasn't in that category until I want to say he was like 33, 34, Peyton Manning, we already saw what happened when the moment he went down. A guy named Curtis Painter, they went 2-14.
2-14.
Brett Favre before Aaron Rodgers. If you took Brett Favre out, they're fucking losing. They're losing more than they're winning. Tom Brady now clearly, he leaves, goes to Tampa. Tampa is Tampa's all right. Tampa's good. They're a playoff team, that's for sure. But New England, they're not.
Right.
Clear playoff team. And that's a whole nother can of worms we got to open for that.
100%. We gotta spend more. We'll probably use that for another episode. But I just want to say, Hashim, thank you so much for joining. If y'all
Thank
don't
you.
know, Hashim Zaire Houston, HZ Houston at IG, or follow him on Facebook. And we'll see where he ends up next year. We'll probably be running some races hopefully soon, this weekend, I think, right?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go hit it.
We're still on the mat.
Yes, sir. We got down on the mat. So Hashim, thank you so much, my brother.
All right. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, 100%.
All right.
All right.